Thanks to the support as a channel member, Chris Spencer. Well, folks, it turns out I'm a tactical and transfer genius after all, and all I needed to prove it was a run of games against teams nowhere near as good as we are. Why didn't I think of that sooner? Hello and welcome to Club 3, part 11 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a big game in Bundesliga against Bayern Munich, and then we're going to skip forward a bit and play Manchester United in the Champions League, mainly because I want a proper test for this team and this tactic, because since you're last with me, as you can see, we've not really played against anybody any good, but we have won pretty much every game during that period, playing very well, scoring lots of goals, playing good, attractive football. We did slip up a little bit against Torino away in the Champions League, which just confirms my theory that the quality of the Bundesliga is way below all of the other European leagues in this version of the future. And we do struggle when we play against teams from the other big leagues because they're just better than we are. But certainly in the Bundesliga, we are looking very good. This is what the league table looks like. 12 games in, we have only lost that one game earlier on in the season. 29 points on the board. That's 4 points clear of Leipzig. Significantly 5 points clear of Bayern Munich, and a massive 8 points clear of last year's champions Bayer Leverkusen, who seem to have just given up having won the league last year. Also encouraging to see Connor Egan amongst the top scorers in the league. Adeyemi, Herrera and Big Kev, the top three for average rating. Herrera's right up there for assists as well. We're actually playing so well in the system that we're using that Carrier, our best player, has got a little bit of a grumpy on that I'm not starting him in enough games, because he doesn't really fit into the system that we're using. We went back to the 4-2-4 with this version of it. We've got Emil, Hiskey and Egan up front together, both as advanced forwards, and they're just ripping the league up playing together. And it does mean there's not much room for Big Kevin there, but he's quite a useful impact player to have coming off the bench. You can see we're probably going to play Carrier today, because what I don't want to do is upset the best player at the club, especially with Bayern Munich lurking for him. But it is working, and the front two are looking good, and it's going to be interesting to see how they get on against Bayern and Manchester United today. Two big tests to see if this is just a team that can blow away the teams we're supposed to beat. And we might need an alternate tactic when we play against the better sides. We'll find that out today, hopefully. The Champions League table, by the way, 5 games in, 14th in that, 2 points outside of the top 8. We obviously want to make it top 8 so that we miss around later on in the year. But ultimately, based on some of the performances we've had in the Champions League this year, we'll be happy enough just finishing top 24 and qualifying for the knockout rounds. But that's for the second half of the episode. First up is Bayern Munich, our first big test in the league since those first couple of matches of the season, where we did struggle using this system against Leipzig and Bayer Leverkusen. So we'll see. We'll see how we get on. We're going to learn some things today, I think. So it's Ribeiro in goal, a back four of Van Veen, Garcia, Moorman and Ferreira, Dukic and Van Eijmer in midfield, Moreira and Carrier as the wingers, and then Egan and Emil Hiskey up front. Let's get this team submitted and hope that they play as well as they've been playing in the in-betweeny bits. Full disclosure, there is a chance that we could be about to get a bit of a punishment off a Football Manager. You know how temperamental she can be. My back has been ruined for like the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I've been really minimising the amount of time I spend in my office sat at this desk. So I've not actually touched this save since Thursday of last week. And it's now Monday morning as I record this. So 3 days out of the save. Usually we get punished for that. I know it's all in my head, but you know, I feel like usually we get punished for that kind of thing. So we could get the, oh, you've not played the save for a few days punishment. I streamed on Twitch last night, so I've played the game, just not the save. I don't know if the two saves communicate to each other, or if this save thinks I've not touched FM for 3 days and is ready to make me pay for it. We'll find out, I guess. All I know for sure is that if we lose today, I'm blaming the fact that I haven't played the save for 3 days. And if we win, I'm a tactical genius. That way, nothing can be my fault. And that, as I'm sure you'll all agree, is the most important thing. We must never let anything be my fault. We are having a corner. We're having a corner. 20 minutes in, Carrier plays it out to that far post. And unfortunately, we've not got anyone to get on the end of it. Egan whacks it back into the area. Of course, the former Bayern man who's going to feel like he has a point to prove. Bayern Munich cruelly stealing them out from under me when I was at Burton, meaning that I didn't get to hang out with my new favourite boy for 2 years. We lost 2 years because of Bayern Munich, and his career lost 2 years. He was great coming out of Southampton, would have been a star at Burton, spent 2 years as a backup at Bayern Munich before we rescued him over the summer, and he is now repaying me with goals, as is Emil Hiskey, and that's 1-0, and I'm a tactical genius. Playing these two together is working wonders, and the best thing is they run the defence ragged over the course of 60, 70 minutes. And then with 20 minutes to go, we bring on Big Kev, and he's just there to feed on the scraps. And it does seem to be, like I say, it does seem to be working really quite well. 1-0 up, 20-ish minutes gone. And Bayern not really turning up yet. It seems their guy Cerulli, who's the guy who kept Big Kev and Egan out of their team throughout that couple of years where they were both just rotting away in the reserves for Bayern, he's not turned up, has he? Is he even here? We've not seen him in a highlight yet. I mean, he's probably going to do his usual scoring a goal against us thing that he loves to do, but so far, no sign. But they have just brought somebody on who has traditionally been a little bit of a problem for us. João Pedro coming on, who has caused us problems last season. And he's likely to cause us problems again today because that's what he does. And I think we've just given away a penalty. Moorman clattering into João Neves. And I suspect that's going to be a penalty. The only saving grace we might have is if it's outside of the area, but I don't think it was. And we now need Ribeiro to pull out a save. Otherwise, all that good work for the first half is down the toilet, and we blame it on the fact I've not had the game open for 3 days. It's literally João Pedro's come off the bench and scored. It's his first goal of the season as well. Of course it is. A regular thorn in my side at this point, that boy, which is upsetting because I've used him earlier in this FM and he was great. I think we obviously had him at Brighton right at the start of FM24 in the beta save. I feel like I've signed him in another save as well, maybe one of the rebuilds. But I have had a lot of fun on FM24 with João Pedro, and it's quite upsetting to see him come back and bite the hand that feeds. We have dominated Bayern today, by the way, but don't really have anything to show for it currently. We'll let this highlight play out, and then we'll bring Big Kev on. Carrier is in. Oh, what a finish. Julian Carrier. And he's offside, I think. Please let him have his goal. Let him show everybody where his loyalty lies. He doesn't get his goal, and we are now going to make the change. We're going to take Carrier off. Herrera has been great this season. Is going to come on for him. We're also going to bring on Big Kev for Connor Egan, and I think as the final change, Colombo can come on for Van Veen just to give us a little bit more energy. We like our fullbacks to be able to bomb up and down that flank because the attacking players, the attacking wide players do tuck in a lot of our attacking width comes from the fullbacks, apart from when Herrera's on the pitch, who's a proper winger. As you can see there, cross comes in, and there is Herrera. Having Herrera come on at the same time as Big Kev is not a mistake either. We want the guy who gets wide and gets the crosses in on the pitch at the same time as the big guy who gets on the end of the crosses, although it is actually Herrera who gets on the end of this one. I imagine that's because they were so afraid of Big Kev lurking. I'm giving myself the credit for it. 2-1, 20 minutes to go. Bayern have only had 2 shots on target today, one of which was a penalty. So if we can just avoid ballsing up, we should, theoretically, come away really rather pleased. Ferreira now, down the right-hand side. He's going to look for a cross, does cross it in. It ends up falling to Dukic on the edge of the area. I think that must have taken a deflection. It's a Timber own goal. It's a big deflection because the goalkeeper got nowhere near it. He kind of dived away from where the ball actually ended up going into the back of the net. We'll look at it from the other angle. We'll see it clearer from this one. So it's Dukic with the shot, and that's a big deflection. I think it's actually going wide originally before it hits Timber and just completely wrong foots the goalkeeper, and that should be enough for us to secure victory. And I guess get to the point where we start acknowledging that maybe summer Kev was right after all, and this system does work. It just needed a little bit of time to bed in. We're going to change the 2 central midfielders as well, and hopefully just see things out. It is Bayern on the attack, though, so we have to be a little bit wary of the antics that they might get up to here, especially because there's that guy Cerulli who always scores, not just against us, just always scores. He's probably the best striker in this version of the future. Certainly the best one that I've come up against, and he's better than anyone I've had as well. He is, I mean, if you haven't seen him, I know some of you love an attribute. This guy is absolutely absurd. He's 6'5". He's still only 24 years old, and he is a proper goal machine. And I don't like him. I don't care for him at all. Right, 3-2, a 1-goal lead again. Very scary stuff. Gonzalez trying to bring the ball out of midfield, just gives it away, and Colombo does well to win the ball back and snuff that counter-attack out, and now Big Kev's dropped deep, and now it's Herrera. Plays it into Emil Hiskey, who goes round the keeper. Lovely stuff from Hiskey, and surely you're not going to be calling that offside, referee. You've already disallowed one of our goals. Show us a little bit of leniency, please. We're trying to put Bayern in their place. They last season didn't win the league for the first time in like 18 years. We now want there to be 2 different teams who've won the league since they last did, with us following up after Leverkusen and completely finish Bayern Munich off. That's the plan here. Right, Moorman intercepts. It's to Maui. Maui plays it through to Big Kev. Big Kev's got space to slowly wander into. I almost said run into. It's Big Kev. Slowly amble into. And it looks like we're holding on. It was a little bit closer than it probably should have been based on the match stats. But a 3-2 win is a 3-2 win. We're still top of the league. We've beaten one of the best teams around. And apparently the 4-2-4 does work after all. Past Kev was a genius. We just never gave him the appropriate amount of credit during his time. Right, I'm going to play the next 2 games off camera. It's just a cup game against Mönchengladbach and a league game against Eintracht Frankfurt, and then we're going to see how we match up against Premier League opposition in the shape of Manchester United. So a couple of nice little wins. Beat Borussia Mönchengladbach in the cup with the reserves. You can see Adeyemi and Big Kev getting 2 goals apiece in that one. And then a Connor Egan hat-trick against Eintracht Frankfurt leaves us top of Bundesliga, starting to pull out quite the gap at the top of the league there as well, which is jolly nice to see. So Manchester United, a big test to find out how competitive we're going to be on a European level. I think at this point, unless something goes very wrong, I'm fairly confident we can win the Bundesliga this year. But I still maintain last season's run to the final of the Champions League was a bit of a fluke, and we're going to learn a lot in this match about how competitive we're likely to be, because the Premier League is the top league in the game. Manchester United are competing for the title in said top league. If we can find a way to beat them, there's a chance that this year we could win it all. I know we came very close last year. Still don't want to talk about it. So this is the 11. It's Ribeiro in goal. A back four of Van Veen, Garcia, Schikowski and Borches, Ayadeli and Van Eijma in midfield. Moreira and Carrier then behind Egan and Emil Hiskey up front. Let's get this team up and running. I mean, we'd just like to do some goals, please. I think this is the first English team outside of Burton that we faced since we left Burton. It's still, I think, less than a year since we left Burton, so it should be a relatively familiar looking Manchester United team from when we were there. They're playing this hideous flat back 7 that the AI still really loves to use. That's going to take some breaking down. Let's see if our front 4 can find a way to get through. At least it's not that horrible mega narrow system that's already caused us problems in a couple of recent episodes. I think we've probably got a better chance of breaking down a flat back 7 than one of those horrible narrow boxes that I can't figure out how to get around. They've already scored. Is it going to be disallowed? Referee, do us a favour, disallow it. We'd quite like to win this match. So if you could disallow that one. No, he didn't even think about it, did he? How close was it? Let's have a look from the other angle. At some point, the ball gets played forward. Do we not get a line? Is that just a replay? I thought we'd get the lines. Give me the lines. No lines. No idea. I think he was offside. Apparently, we'll never know for sure, though. But that's not an ideal start. Let's get I was going to put the league table on, but immediately we have another highlight, and it's going to be Van Eijsma trying to burst out of midfield. It ends up back with Ayadeli, who, of course, is fresh out of the Premier League himself, having signed from Crystal Palace in the summer. So he should be very used to playing Manchester United. I think that's quite an indication of the difference between us and the Premier League teams. The fact that a player at Crystal Palace has become our all-time record signing. I mean, obviously Palace can have good players, and they had one there in the shape of Ayadeli, but he's not a nailed-on starter in our midfield. So he's not by any means like, I don't know the point I'm trying to make. The point is he was really good for them, and he's pretty good for us as well. And he probably wouldn't have gone to Manchester United. That was a terrible point. I got myself tied in knots. But Conor Egan has done a football, which does distract nicely from the fact that I'm not apparently capable of speaking anymore, as long as the referee doesn't disallow it. Come on, ref. You've already ruined me once, and that he's done it again. I don't like this referee. Who is this referee? I need to work out who I've got beef with. I don't want to see the replay. I want to get a beef up. There is no referee, apparently. Brilliant. League table. Let's have a look to see. I think we should still be in the top 24, regardless of what happens in this one. But it does make that top 8 close to impossible, which in turn makes a potential run deep in the competition that little bit harder to do. But we are knocking on the door, trying to grab ourselves an equaliser. Ayadeli plays it back to Van Veen, and now Van Veen looking for options ahead of him. He didn't really have one, but he's done well to keep hold of the ball, find Ayadeli, and then Carrier into Egan. Of course, another one who's got plenty of experience playing in English football, although I'm not sure Egan ever played in the Premier League. I think all his games for Southampton were in the Championship. So maybe this is his first time playing against Manchester United. Carrier into his ski, but he can't keep his shot down. I thought that might have gone out for another corner, but it looked like it didn't. We have got the long throw here, though, looking for Van Eijsma, but can't find him. And Garcia gives the ball away, but then immediately wins back. We're doing quite well with that. Normally in FM, I give the ball away a lot. In this match, we seem to be doing the opposite. United are basically playing my role of trying to get the ball off me, winning tackles, but then we're still coming away with the ball. It's a lovely ball over the top for Hiskey. Stallone Van Eijsma is 17 years old, playing against one of the best teams in the world, and he's just hit a pass like that back to goal in the Champions League. Just appreciate from it. He's not facing the right way. He just turns and plays an absolutely stunning ball over the top. Perfectly placed. 17 years old. He is going to be the best player in the world. We have got the best young midfielder of his generation there. I'm certain of it. There he is again with another 17 years old, plays it into Egan, and he's not able to make anything of it. But it's with Van Eijsma again. This time goes for the short ball to Van Veen, but now back with Van Eijsma again. He's playing like a 25-year-old who's been a deep line playmaker in a top team for years. He has no right to be as good as he is. I think that one's probably offside. I'm not going to get too excited about that. We're certainly testing United. We've had the ball in the back of their net multiple times. We just need a few of them to be given. That one, once again, disallowed. Back to 1-1. But I would say at the moment, Van Eijsma has just taken control of the midfield, and we're the better team currently. We just need to capitalise on it. We need to grab a goal or two and take advantage of this spell of being in control of the game. Because as much as Stallone is awesome, you don't expect a 17-year-old to dominate the full 90 minutes. So there's going to come a time where they maybe wrestle back control of that midfield. This is a good counter-attack, though. Moreira's in, and I think that's a save from the keeper. But that was lovely, fast-paced counter-attacking football. Love that. And now we've got a corner. It's Carrier to hit the in-swinger. We've obviously got the big boys lined up in there as well. None of them able to get onto the end of it. And it comes all the way back to Ayadeli, who sprays it back out to the right-hand side, and presumably it didn't lead to anything from there. So with a draw, we end up in 15th. A win could potentially get us into that top 8 with 2 games to go, which would be jolly nice if we can find a way to make that happen. But we do need a little bit of luck to go our way, I think, in this second half. Egan looking to play Carrier, and it's a poor attempt at a pass from him. He's no Van Eijsma, is he? Goodness me. Manchester United now trying to play the ball out from the back, but our two fast strikers are just absolutely hassling them, causing them all kinds of problems. And there's Egan, and you can't give him that kind of space. He is so fast. This is what attracted me to him all the way back when he was at Southampton. Just that pure pace causes problems, and there's a perfect example of it. It wasn't a terrible ball back to the goalkeeper. It should have, if he'd have hit it ever so slightly harder, it gets there fine. It's not that he misplaced the pass. It was going directly to the keeper. It just wasn't hit with enough pace. And Egan just able to leap in and capitalise. And these two strikers, this was the vision for how this was supposed to work. It just took a little bit of time to get that team cohesion there, to get everybody settled in. But when I was putting this team together in that transfer video last week, this is how I imagined this team to play, and they're finally starting to do it. It's all coming together, and it's still relatively early in the season, and that's frustrating. When I'm trying to give a speech about how great I am, it is frustrating when that happens, and it feels against the run of play as well. I'll have a look at the match stats in a second, but I do feel like we've been comfortably the better team in this match, but we are young and a little bit naive and relatively inexperienced, so there's going to be moments, and let down by the fact we don't have a proper goalkeeper. I do acknowledge that we don't have a proper goalkeeper. The board have actually took all my remaining transfer budget off me as well. Oh, there's Egan again. Love. Oh, it's gone as an own goal. Why is that gone as an own goal? I'll get back to the transfer budget thing in a second. That looked like Egan just leathered it in. I'm not sure why that's it. It must have just taken a big deflection. Must have been going wide initially. It was going wide initially. He's just hit it really hard, and it's cannoned off a defender and gone past the goalkeeper. But as I was saying, after spending a lot of money in the last two windows, the board have now taken my remaining transfer budget off of me, and I think the days of spending gazillions here at Dortmund are over already. I've got to make do with what I've got now, which does mean if we're going to bring in a proper goalkeeper, we're probably going to have to sell first, which isn't a bad thing. You saw an episode or two back just how many players we've got that we weren't able to register for our Champions League squad. So there are probably half a dozen players in this squad who we could move on and not necessarily miss. And that would give us more than enough money to go out and find a proper goalkeeper. The thing holding us back at the moment is the thing that held us back in the last couple of transfer windows, and that is finding a top-level goalkeeper. We talked about this a little bit on stream last night. It's quite difficult to find top-level goalkeepers because they all get hoovered up by the top-level clubs. And if you don't get them at the right moment, it's then very difficult to pry them away from those clubs. It's not like left wingers where there's dozens of them, and if you lose one, you can just bring in another. That was brilliant from Carrier, by the way. It's 4-2, and this team has arrived. This is lovely work from Carrier. Just on breaking all on his own, no one there to help him, goes past his man, and then scores from an absolutely absurd angle that he has no right to score from. It's 4-2. We absolutely deserve it. We are good value for this 2-goal lead. We are just going to make a couple of changes. Stallone, who has been brilliant, is going to come off and just have a little bit of a rest. I think he's earned that. And we'll bring Adeyemi on that left-hand side. Hopefully we don't just give up control of the midfield now that we've taken off our teenager. But I don't know that I've ever seen a 17-year-old central midfielder be able to run a game the way Van Eijma has run that game today. I'll show you his attributes again in a second, because again, know some of you love the attributes, just so you can see just how good he is. But we've got ourselves a special boy there, haven't we? He's going to have an absolutely incredible career. Emil Hiskey then plays it back to Garcia. There's moments left on the clock. Dukic back to Garcia. We're just keeping hold of the ball now, playing the game out. Ayadeli, who's had a very good game in his own right alongside Van Eijma. And now Luque trying to grab number 5 here. It falls to Colombo, and he's not able to get a proper connection with it, and it goes wide. And it looks like 4-2 win, which does put us up into the top 8, which is very important. We want to be able to miss that extra round of games. So let's look at that league table properly. So that puts us up to 8th place. 2 games to go. Those 2 games are against Brighton and Brighton, who apparently won the Premier League last year, which is ridiculous. And now they're down in 11th place. So what's the story there? We were in England for part of that season. Have they lost their manager? How have they? No, I don't understand how they win the league and then drop down to 11th place the following year. And that must just be one of those insane years that you get sometimes where I guess they maybe weren't in other European competitions last year. So because of that, they were able to really focus on it. So they had played in the Champions League before, but were okay. So they were in the Conference League. They won the Conference League. So last season was an incredible season for Brighton. They won the Premier League and the Conference League. There's no explanation. And now they're 11th. There's no explanation for that. We're going back and having another look. Have they sold players? Where's that team gone? They sold... No, nobody left. They sold 4 points. I don't understand. Absolutely baffling that that's gone wrong for them. But what I did want to show you was Stallone Van Eijsma one more time. Oh, he has turned 18 now. He's been 18 for a month. All that stuff about him being 17. What a load of nonsense. But look at that boy. Look at him. Imagine how good he's going to be when he's 25. Whew. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.